Hi, thanks for landing up on my YouTube channel. My name is Rohini, and if you like what you see on this channel, do subscribe and keep in touch.
Going black and white. It was absolutely bizarre when people heard it first that why do you want to make a black and white show in 2019 on YouTube? But they bannered under my belief, and it happened, and it is what it is now. So
Yeah, 1 second.
I
Why do
think
you want to make a black and white show in 2019 on YouTube? Raghav, thank you so much for giving me your time. This is a complete fan request. Jahan par I told you, I said, listen, I missed that damn promotional interview that was supposed to be done. And I said, oh my God, but I watched the show. And I said, I need to talk to you because this is what we do for a living, right? We watch things, we react to them. And at least the person that I am, I need to talk about it. Okay. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
thank you for having me. I don't do this often. I don't get to speak as much about the work, and I like to speak more about the work. And I'm glad we're doing this one on one.
Thank
And thank you for having
So Kota Factory season two,
me.
shayad, you guys have watched it on Netflix. I'll be honest with you, I was not the person who watched Kota Factory when it first released on YouTube. For some reason. And then I remember calling Arunab and I said, you know what, I watched the show and I really loved it. And he was like, yeah, because you're a big snob now. You will never watch it if it's on YouTube and all. We have to come on Netflix for you to watch it. And when he said that to me, I actually took that as partly being true as well, right? Because there is an entire universe that exists on YouTube that maybe for the lack of time, we probably didn't have the, time to go and watch these shows. But thanks to the fact that it's on Netflix, of course, it made someone like me go back and watch it. And when I watched it, I was blown away, honestly, because there's a lot of shows that TVF has produced, which is in this sort of genre, which is and correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like there's this whole engineering sort of subset that I don't belong to. So I used to have this sort of hesitation, saying, would I get the jokes? Would I get what they're talking about? The other subset is, of course, and this is again something that I perceive, I could be wrong, which is slightly more male, which is it's not that inclusive of women. And these are the two perhaps the reasons why I said, these shows perhaps are not for me. And I was proven wrong with Kota Factory, and I'm so glad that I, dived into it. I want to, of course, come to the show in a little bit, but before that, I'd like to ask you a little bit about yourself, Raghav. Could you tell my friends who are watching us at this point, where did you grow up? Where did you spend like your childhood? What did you study? I'd love to start with that.
I'm raised in Bombay. I have lived in Mumbai all my life. I've grown up in Vile Parle East, so you can imagine cute little quiet suburban life with children of all age groups. So growing up, I think I've had some of the best times of my life that people reminisce about back in the 90s. I am from that time. I was born in 91, so I have seen the whole transition of technology, of cell phones to everything, the internet, as a matter of fact. So it's I really love the time that I grew up in, and I'm glad that I was born in the 90s. Yeah, so growing up in Mumbai was pretty good in a way, considering the people around me was predominantly Maharashtrian. So you have to realize one thing, that my mother tongue is Telugu. But I grew up around a lot of Maharashtrians. Hindi is a necessary thing that you have to learn. Mom and dad speak in Tamil, mother tongue is Telugu. And I've spent a lot of time in Kerala. So I grew up with six languages, and growing up was so difficult. None of my sentences used to be in one language. It used to be broken in several different languages. So Telugu to English, Telugu and English mushed together. So growing up was fun. Now that I look back at it, I love the time that I grew up in. And yes, there is a certain privilege that comes when you live in the city. and have been born and raised here. I have gotten to know about it only in the last 5, 10 years after I started working. When I see all these people come to Bombay trying to make it, I do realize how lucky I am that my parents decided to move to Bombay before I was born. So it's a beautiful experience to just be here and just to be able to do what I really wanted.
Want to do, yeah,
And
absolutely. I also know that you're probably one of those Bombay kids who knew what they want to do as well, right? Because that privilege seeps into what we want to do, what we want to become. And we're going to talk about the fact that you did go to a mass media college, and then you graduated out of there. But before that, talk to me about what you were watching when you were growing up. So if you're born in 91, it means that 90s, which is my favorite era, okay, to talk about, which
mhm,
whether it's the movies, whether it's the music, that might
mhm.
have impacted you as well. Talk to me about your first cinematic experience in a theater, perhaps, or somewhere else where you saw something that left a deep impact on you.
I really thought about all of these things after I stepped into direction, after I became a director. I really got that time to touch and really understand why and where this seed was sown. So while growing up, my brother and I used to watch a lot of television, and the best part about watching TV back then was the commercials, the ads.
Yes.
So we had a little game that we used to play to guess the ad before the slate comes in. So we used to play this guessing game. So is it Dhara? Is it Paneri? Is it Shanku Water Park? So
I remember that. Oh my God.
yes,
Yes. 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 Yes.
yeah. So that's where the seed, I think, of going towards mass media, towards anything related to communications was. I think that's where the seed was sown. I mean, of course, I did not know back then. Only when I reminisce and reflect upon my life do I really can I put a little flag on that moment, saying, okay, that's maybe where it started. But I never thought that I would end up here. Growing up, I wanted to be an archaeologist. I told my mom one day that yes, I was I used to ace history and geography. I knew I was obsessed with the Egyptian civilization and just going back into the past and just digging stuff up. So I wanted to be an archaeologist, but my mom was like, "हाँ तू क्या जाके खड्डा खड्डा खोदेगा, कचरा साफ करेगा, रूम साफ कर जाके."
That's such a classic Tamil way to say it, and I can hear her saying it as well because I'm Tamilian. I totally
Mhm.
understand when she said that, and it's such a
Right.
classic Tamil thing to say. Correct.
Yeah. So I think that's when I put that thing to rest, and uh, I hated maths. I knew that I'm never going to step into anything related to engineering because my older brother, he did everything that was expected of an Indian boy. He went to Kota. He tried to get into IIT. Got into BITS. Then he moved to the US. He did everything, ticked all those boxes off. So I got a free hand. I had an open canvas to do anything and everything I wanted. So in school,
Thanks to
I
the
just had to
people.
pass. So that's where a little bit of the privilege of living in Bombay also comes in. That I
Absolutely.
could choose anything I wanted. I naturally avoiding maths. After 10th, I went into arts, and after arts, I took BMM. And in BMM, there used to be a lot of short film competitions, little commercials, and I did an advertising third year in BMM. So there used to be a lot of short films and little ads and competitions, inter college, all that. So my friends and I used to get together and just shoot anything, just usually funny stuff or dark stuff. And there's always that typical college short film where a character commits suicide. I've done that.
I have
I'm
done that.
guilty of
I made a
that.
short film in college, and my main character committed suicide. This is hilarious. Fantastic.
That typical shot of the foot falling off the ledge. you know that.
And figuring how you will show him hanging, right? Like that
Mhm,
was my
mhm.
biggest, like I remember I had to be like, this is where I have to be a director about this. I'd be like, how do I show him that he's Latcode without making and my actor was Neil Bhupalam, okay? And
All
we
right.
all kind of like grew up together, during
Mhm.
that time. And I was like, Neil, will you actually Latko? And he's like, do you want to kill me? Like, so yes, I get this. I totally get
Mhm.
this.
So that's where I think that seed grew and bloomed into something that. But at the same time, while I was doing that, I realized that that advertising was it. I wanted to be a copywriter. I started working as a junior copywriter in a place. But then I hit that brick wall. I realized that it's only functional things that they want out of any brand that they're trying to sell, be it a toilet disinfectant to a hair. The slides are pretty much the same. They just change the font here and there, color according to the brand, and that's it. It's out there and very functional.
Is this your moment when you realize कि तू beer है?
हाँ, मैं बियर हूँ और मैं बहना चाहता हूँ यहाँ से. That's what.
Amazing. But when you did you actually quit, and did you have to ever tell your parents that you were quitting a paying job? Did that moment occur?
It did, but then I was working while I was studying. This was like a junior copywriter thing, and it was almost like an internship.
Correct.
So it was not a paid gig. So that's when during college, by the end of third year, I realized I hit that wall, and I realized, oh, this is not it. What happens? What can change? And I realized that the director who's shooting the commercial changes everything, can change however whatever he or she wants. I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I want to do.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
it's like, okay, so let's try maybe going into the production aspect of it. So from there, I jumped to a production house called Ten Films. I interned at Equinox under Ram Madhwani for a while.
Correct.
I did about 3 4 commercials. Jumped to another production house, again ads. But then I realized in ads as an assistant director that they spend so much money. Like the director is very insistent on like a 4.5 lakh chandelier, but it's far off into the distance, out of focus.
शौक
And
पूरे हो रहे हैं. This is I totally understand. I did the same. I
Mhm,
did the same.
mhm,
I was working in advertising at some point,
mhm,
and I was
mhm,
like, इनके पास कितना पैसा है, boss? That's one. And this is the heyday of advertising. Okay, so this is like
mhm,
the 90s spilling over into the 2000s, right? And there was
mhm.
still big money, and you're right. It's for a thing in that shot that's probably not. It's going to be a hint of a chandelier, right?
Right. Just bokeh effect blurred out, and the A-list actor is there in front selling the uh, hair color. So I hit that brick wall where I'm like, wait, it's just 30 seconds, and uh, it's just so much money being spent. If it is a food commercial and if it is a Pakistani client, you go and shoot in Thailand or you should go shoot in Dubai. You get per diems, a lot of money. I made a lot of money when I was an AD back in advertising. I loved that phase where it was just
I thought you were going
one.
to say I love money because I do.
I do. I complete. I breathe.
Of course, of course. But tell me at that point, the fact that everything that you made with TVF, and even now when you kind of put your name in Google, it shows you as a TV director. Okay. But I like to rephrase that and say
Uh-huh.
TVF director. Okay.
Mhm.
And the beauty or the essence of that is that it's a collaboration, right? Suddenly, it's not just you as a director coming in and saying, I want to change everything. Hey, you've got other guys who are also saying we want to change narratives, we want to change the way TV shows have been made, the way they've been distributed, the way they've been broadcast. Could you take me back to that time when you felt that this was the new path that you were going on? Did you meet Arnab? How did that happen?
Right. So I was just jumping there. I hit that brick wall with advertising, with the production side of advertising, and that's the time when TVF's Gana Wala song was out. This was early 2013, and
Correct.
I remember very clearly. I was sitting in this office. I showed the director this. He's like, "अरे ये internet वाले कुछ दिनों का है, चले जाएंगे." That was the attitude people had towards internet content, especially on YouTube. So ये internet वाले कुछ दिन का है, चले जाएंगे. And that and that we just brushed off. You don't really think about it. It was so normal for people to say it, and that's when around 2013 end is when I found TVF. Shweta, the director I worked with, knew of Arunab, and he's like, okay, I told him, I bared my soul to him, saying, man, this is not working out. What do I do? He's like, okay, why don't you go to TVF, check it out? And I checked it out. I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. I have a terrible history of making fun of people, of my classmates, of roasting people, and all this Qtiaba, as they used to do at TVF, and still do in the sketches. That was inherent. It was always there growing up. So I just needed to channelize all of that energy, and TVF happened. So in December 2013, I started working at TVF and used to make hilarious sketches, some ridiculous, over the top, wild stuff that was just parodies of things. Breaking Bad, as a matter of fact, we made a parody of Breaking Bad, and only two people on the entire crew had seen the show. But we just we just lifted the trailer off. We knew what moments we need to twist it, turn, and make it funny, and that's it. It used to take only a day or two to write the script, and it was being shot the third, fourth day. So it was very hands-on. Everyone was working together. Everyone was in the writing process. Everyone was involved. It was a team of 15, 20 max at that time. So that's where the whole the idea of TVF is to come together, work together, discuss whatever you don't like, you come out with it. So there are times when people just straight up say, they see a cut and they go, okay, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. But to tell you, what do you like about it? So we discuss the things we don't like first. We get that out, and then we go into the good stuff. So we're all fixers here. We really want to make good shows, make good content, and really, we don't want to disrupt anything. We just want to tell it our own way, and things are getting disrupted as they go along. Like, for example, Kota Factory.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, like Kota Factory, black and white. All our associations with black and white and films have been a period film, or going into past and coming back into present, or showing a moment of real tragedy. So all these associations of black and white we managed to break by doing a show like Kota Factory.
Yeah, I mean, before, of course, we start talking about Kota Factory, I must talk to you about the sort of track record, right? Because suddenly what happened was the sort of language changed, the audiences started coming, the sort of wins that are very important. You need these wins so that you know that you're on the right track. And then when you of course build a community, it leads to commercials, money. Because I still remember there was a Truth and Dare with Dad, that idea. I remember so clearly. It was actually a sponsored video, but we didn't care about it. I'm like, I don't care about the brand placement anymore, because they're like, for Lenko aake bol ke chale gaye. Because normally, and of course you talked about how you like advertising, but if you're looking at it, like if you talk about the IPL right now, I always say that the IPL is actually a festival of ads जिसके बीच में क्रिकेट खेला जाता है.
बिल्कुल.
Because there are so many ads. Okay, but because you had a soft spot for advertising, you were looking at the visual aspect of it, you were looking at the storytelling of it. It's a different thing. But रेगुलर आम आदमी हेट्स एड्स यार. वी हेट एड्स. आई मीन, जिस पर आप लोग इतने पैसे और इतना टाइम खर्च करते हो, आई वांट टू स्विच इट, राइट? However, I saw that this was a new way of telling these stories. The ads started getting integrated into the content, and that kind of worked as well. Even in Kota Factory, I remember it was an educational institution that was actually coming in, and there were these plugs, but the plugs never came in the way. But there was pictures, which did change the narrative as well. Suddenly, I feel that there was an entire section of the audience that got this massive representation. And I want to ask you if this was in any way, let's talk about the sort of forerunners of this, right? Three Idiots was that. Do you think Three Idiots marks that sort of change in telling the stories of the engineering subsect in the audience? Do you feel that, that it did that for you at all?
I think Three Idiots, I think it's been 10, 12 years now since
Correct.
it has released, right? So I think that's almost the same time when TVF was uh, cementing. I think that's coming to shape, I think, as an idea, as a company, as three people coming together just trying to make something funny. So I think and they were IITians, right? They do study and they also get a lot of time to do all of these things. So with I think it has always been Arunab's vision to really plug and marry those two, marry advertising and content, where uh, the audience doesn't get thrown off or doesn't want to skip, but also integrated so well into the story that it just becomes a natural, normal thing that you or a character would normally say, and that has always been something that we have tried to balance in everything that we do. And I'm not saying we have learned that balance, and because the client always has outlandish demands most of the times. So how do we find that sweet balance that we tell them to trust us in putting this out, in really making the people not cringe?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
that
And so
Yeah.
not losing your audience, because
Hmm.
you've built your audience with so much love, and
Hmm.
you won their trust, right? It's the same
Hmm.
audience who might turn around and be like, hey man, why are you selling me stuff, right? And I
Correct.
I experienced that as a radio presenter, because
Hmm.
they love me because I present the show and I present the truth, and every day I tell them my little like view of my city. And then suddenly I have to say, but guys, there's a lovely building coming up in Upper Juhu, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, we got that. So that's the whole point, that it's a delicate dance to be done. But taking it back to the telling of these stories, I did not know that your brother, for example, so you've always had this sort of view on the engineering life, in some way, like chuckling at or saying, thank God I didn't have to do that. And this sort of ringside view to perhaps a family member's life, because I was so curious. I said, how does he end up telling these stories so well, uh, in spite of not being an IITian, or in spite of not being somebody from an engineering background? So you've kind of answered that question in the first part of this interview. But I remember that pictures happened, and then after that, of course, Kota Factory happened. However, with Kota Factory, what stayed with me, because I've watched a bit of pictures, I've watched a bit of Hostel Days as well, but Kota was the show that got me in, which is why today we're talking about it. Is that what I loved about is that you didn't treat it like a show about kids,
Hmm.
and I think that's what I love most about it, is that it is a show about kids, right? It's about kids who've got dreams and all of that, but at no it's given the seriousness of perhaps people. I don't know, it's like an old, like, how do I say this in the nicest possible way, but it's like an old school way of telling a new age story, and that is what I loved about it. It slows down my pace. When I watched the show, I was like, the pacing of it, like, honestly, it threw me off in a nice way, because I was like, I want this pace in my life. I understand why you're sitting in this
Right.
vampire cave of yours, because you've designed your life to be a certain way. You're trying to give us
Mhm.
this. But did two things about Kota Factory, when did they come about? One is the pacing of it to be this sort of almost lullaby, almost like,
Mhm.
आराम से मैं बात करूंगा, इनकी लाइफ जैसे चल रही
Mhm.
है वैसे हम देखेंगे. And at the same time, this sort of absolute stark beauty with which that sort of every day is shown, which is that call when you say you want to make it in black and white. Talk to me about both of these things.
So it was never written as a drama series, it was when Saurabh Khanna and Abhishek Yadav started writing the shows in the season one. It was essentially just a show about. They started off as a listicle about what happens in Kota. So what happens in Kota? So they're like, okay, this happens, this happens. They're like, okay, we have stuff more than just a listicle. What if we write a sketch? They started writing a sketch and they're like, okay, we have a lot more to tell, a lot more bases to cover. They're like, okay, maybe can we make it a show? Like, okay, maybe we can make it a show. Let's write an episode and see. And then first episode was written, and then they realized, oh, there's a lot more we can do. There are multiple seasons of this, and then that's how the show started. So they wrote it as a simple, cute show about characters coming, a hot pot of cultures coming to a little city in Rajasthan, who are 16, 17-year olds who have no personalities whatsoever and are trying to make it to IIT.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't know what IIT is, they just know that IIT jana hai, abhi bas jana hai. So I think writing wise it was just to focus on the characters, and we knew that this was a character driven show, and if the people love the characters, multiple seasons can be made. So a lot of focus went into uh, helping these characters bloom, helping people understand who and where everyone is from, what are they really like. And these are personalities of different kinds, and that's the beauty of the city. While that happens, when I read the show, i I knew that it can. I was just fresh out of hostel days. I knew that engineering hostels are a completely different thing. They have a totally different vibe. The time moves different in an engineering hostel, and time moves different at Kota.
Yeah.
And only once you go there, once you feel that as a director, as a creator of things, I really I go there, I really absorb the place. I see the life, I see the space that they live in. What does it really feel like? And I'm an outsider to all of this, to engineering, to IIT. So how do I, if this was a world that I wanted to get to know, what will I see? What would I like to see? How would I really get the essence of that place? So the pacing of the show was derived from the world itself, from Kota itself. It is a slow life. You go there, there are kids in 10 by 10 by 12 rooms. There's absolutely no sunlight. There's just one tube light. There's posters of formulas and periodic tables, and they're just studying. And it's heartbreaking, but also extremely beautiful to see these 16, 17-year-old kids who have left the comfort of home to be here, eat terrible food, and just slog. It's beautiful, and that's I was just trying to impart that thing into the show, and that's where the pacing of it really comes from. And also the second part of, you know, this world, Kota was also a character in this show. It's called Kota Factory. So we needed to show this place the way it was. We could not cheat things. We had to know which are the important circles, which are the Talwandi, for example. Everyone knows Talwandi. Everyone knows where Vigyan Nagar is, and you can't cheat a corner saying it is Talwandi or Vigyan Nagar. We had to be very specific. All our road shots. If our character says "Arey chal Vigyan Nagar chalte," we know that he's in right opposite the mall. So the road to Talwandi is the road we shot on. So there are very specific things that we have done in the show, and that is, and people who have lived in Kota have come up to me saying, "Man, I could not tell that this is Kota. I I could not I did not see the beauty in Kota the way it's shown in the show." And I think that as a director, that's what I'm trying to find, the beauty in ordinary. The people don't know what to be called beautiful unless you show it to them.
Tell me about it. I lead such a hard life. Nobody says this about me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But that was beautifully said. I totally understand what you're saying. And at the same time, I think that's the challenge, right? When you are not somebody who belongs to that world and you have to tell the people who know the story better than you that same story, you've got to obviously tell it to them in a way that they've never seen it as. And I think that's the advantage that you had going in. And some of the shots that stay with me, of course, they're the obvious ones, which is the Kota factory here. So you'll see the chimneys and the smoke, which I think was beautiful. And if we didn't do those like sort of, low hanging metaphors, then, then why are we doing this, right? But at the same time,
But if you realize, we've kept all the factory shots in season 2. In
yes,
season 1, we
it wasn't
never
there in
show a
season one.
single factory.
It
Yeah.
wasn't there in season one. And at
Yes, it
the
was.
same time, the first season, what I remember the most are those sort of aerial shots, kind of framing these students again and again, right? I remember that first instance where he's not dressed like the others, and visually you can tell that he doesn't belong here yet. And then there's another shot where he's wearing the same clothes, and then you almost don't know who he is, kind of telling. And what I love the most is the storytelling within the dialogues, because the visual storytelling of Kota Factory to me is greater than what's said on screen, because there is so much said without being said. Of course, he's saying, I love awesome and I love Ma and I love all of these things, because there's a cleverness even in the lines and in the dialogue. But much often the best writing is not written on the page. It's a sort of how you actually, it's up to us to find this, right? Was there a conscious attempt to tell this story parallelly, or was there this sort of conscious attempt to say that when we tell this story on the screen, they will be shot in a certain way, they will be framed in a certain way? Do you remember this, doing more of this in this show versus another show, perhaps?
Absolutely. I mean, so one thing that we realize, that these kids go out, study in coaching classes, and come back. So that thought really stays. And how do you build on that thought? Is by repeating magnifications, by repeating shots. It's almost like a Wong Kar-wai school of thought, where you show the same frame, you show the same magnification over and over again, with little changes in the character, with little changes in the background. Say, for example, if I move from episode 1 with nothing on the background to an episode 3 with a lot of chemistry, but in the episode 3 he realizes that he doesn't have to do chemistry, so he tears down everything. And episode 4, it's all physics, but the magnification remains the same. Even after he changes his PG, the magnification remains the same. The shot taking remains the same. So it's just recall and repetition. And that really, in films, I think that thought really works, that you show the same thing. Again, it's finding that sweet balance. I think that's something that I'm trying and learning every day and every show that I do. And uh, how do you show mundane without getting mundane?
Getting mundane, absolutely. And I
Mhm,
love the fact that most scenes have a little bit of extra that would have been
mhm,
chopped, on an editing table.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
almost like let it roll. There's a lot of let it roll, right? In
mhm,
a lot of scenes where the scene is actually, the action's over.
mhm,
But the camera is on, and at every point we could have taken it out. You could have taken it out
mhm,
while you were shooting it. You could have taken it out while you cut it. But I feel
mhm.
like letting it be, or letting it roll, is the sort of this unfurling, this sort of sprawling storytelling. How much did you
Mhm.
enjoy that? Because you come from a medium where originally you got to tell a story in 30 seconds, right?
Mhm.
So is it because you had this sort of, I would say, luxury of time?
There's never luxury of time unless you are doing 3 pages a day or maybe one shot a day, like films. I
Correct.
don't think I I don't think I want to do one scene a day. I don't think I ever want to. I want to spend the entire day doing as many scenes as possible without getting crazy on the crew or the actors. I can go. I have been on shoots which have gone for 18 hours long. So I have no issues with long overtime shoots, but also I don't want to do one scene a day or just one shot, one dancing shot of actors and wide reveal. I don't want to do that. So one the pacing of the show was really defined again by once you do season one, you realize that you have to let the actors be. They and the actors of the show are so brilliant. They even after a cut, you like for example Alam who plays Uday, he will remain Uday. I I know for a fact that they even if I don't shout for a cut, they will continue. They have lived that character so much that I can leave a camera on them all day long, and we will have a lot of stuff to work with. So they're such brilliant actors that I trust them enough that they don't go okay line ho gaya to chal cut nahi hua kahan. They're not that kind of actors. They know I that stay. I really ask for that stay. I really ask for them looking into each other's eyes after the conversation's over, and that's very real. I see a lot of shows and films where they cut after the dialogue's over, cut straight next scene, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I want if I've just had a heart to heart, I want to stay. I want to feel. I want to be there, and then I want to move on. So that's my approach to anything and everything. Even hostel days, as a matter of fact, there are a lot of moments where there's stay,
Yeah,
just be with the
that guy
actors.
was, was getting ragged and he had to be Spider-Man. He was Spider-Man, bro. Like he didn't get out of character even for a second. Like darwaza khul gaya, wo log andar chale gaye. When you guys came out of that door, I still remember this guy is still doing the same thing. And I was just like, was he doing this all the while that the action was going on inside? Because and that's what you live for, right? You live for these suspended beliefs. You have to have this moment where you say, yeah, I mean, that's probably what he did. And
Mhm,
that's the task of a good show, to convince you that all of this actually is happening and it's all very real. And I love the
mhm,
hat tips also, like for the ones within the universe who've been, fans of this show and other shows. I remember Jitu Bhaiya's name in that in pictures was, his surname was Maheshwari, and
mhm,
here he is, in Kota,
mhm,
up against the Maheshwari classes. And there's a lot of these things that within that fan universe they will love, because you guys have managed to create this sort of wonderful sort of like, how do I say, it's like its own factory, right? TVF
mhm,
to me is that factory in a nice way, where you're giving
mhm.
them show after show and things that they can relate to. I'm curious though. I know for a fact that you've already said that there will be another season of Kota Factory. So we
Mhm.
know. Okay. So in case that's why you came to this chat, guys, Raghav has said this already. There will be more.
थंबनेल पे डाल देना क्लिक्स बहुत सारे
हाँ,
सीजन 3 when.
see, this you have to teach me, okay, Raghav, because I'm not so good
हाँ,
at the internet as yet. So this
हाँ,
I will
हाँ,
learn from you. Uh, but
बिल्कुल.
but I'm curious to know, as someone who is directing the sort of shows that the whole country is loving and is reaching out, making a connection. What do you feel is your next step as a director? Like, do you want to continue directing stories, within this universe? Do you want to direct a feature? Are you guys at TVF planning a feature? Because I'm actually more excited to know what's going to happen next with Raghav Subbu, honestly.
Okay, so I I really want to direct and just direct for the next 10 years. I don't really want to get into creating a show just yet. But my at TVF, now that I am at TVF, my as a director, you get a lot of say and power to change things, and there's a lot of conviction that TVF instills and belief and puts in belief in the directors. So when we are convinced as a director, and when I'm sure, then my producers are sure of it. Yes, for example, going black and white. It was absolutely bizarre when people heard it first that why do you want to make a black and white show in 2019 on YouTube? But they bannered under my belief, and it happened, and it is what it is now. So
Yeah, one second.
I
Why do
think
you want to make a black and white show in 2019 on YouTube? What is that?
disrupt,
Yeah.
disrupt.
No, do you remember that moment when you say, "Yeah, black and white mein hona chahiye"? Do you have that moment with you? Do you remember that?
Yes, it's it it was. I think it's like a thunderbolt. And now that I think about it, it was a moment that really shook me, and I was like, "Oh yes, this is. Why can't it be in black and white? Why can't it? Well, it can't be in black and white." Clearly remember that moment. It was in the middle of pre-prod. I was sitting in bungalow number 56 in Aram Nagar, Part Two, and it it just stayed, and it just stayed, and I thought for a day. I rubbished it off at night. I was like, no man, this is not gonna work out. The very next day I'm back again. I'm reading the script and I'm like, yes, yes, it has to be. So much so that I by that time I had my location photos, I had my actors and the costume trials are done, and I'm sitting and downloading an app on my phone, wanting to go black and white, like the color. How do I invert? What app do I download? I download some PixArt, and I go change all the photos to black and white, and I look at it. I make a PDF, and I'm looking at it, and I'm absorbing these visuals, and that is when that idea just cemented, and I knew that nothing can stop me now. This is it. This is the only way I can tell the story. I went up to my DP, I went up to my editor, I went to the writers. I showed them the PDF first. I'm like, take a look at this. And they're like, huh, okay, this seems interesting. My editor was on board, writers were okay. My DP is just so excited. Black and white is a DP's wet dreams.
Same, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now, towards to as we started shooting, towards as we were going to shoot, I had to come out clean to my producers saying, okay, I want this to be a black and white show. They freaked out first. They said, it's think about it. People will this will bomb. People will hate it. No one's going to come and watch it. And I was like, but that's okay, I guess. I mean, I want to make it this way. And the ethos of TVF is lights, camera, experiment. If this experiment fails, I would have learned something, and we'll just move on. So but they were like, okay, if you believe in it, we are with you, but you have to convince the brand. I'm like, oh man, how do we convince the brand now? So they flew me down. I went to Bangalore, sat with uh, the guys at the brand. I
Yeah.
showed them the trailer, and he was watching. He was like, okay, cool, okay. Then we played the first episode. All of this is in black and white, and they're like, okay, this is cool. Okay, like, okay, okay, do whatever you want. I was like, oh, really? Okay. We're like, okay, cool. And that was it. Everyone was freaked out that the brand would freak out, but they did not. And it was that simple. And I think it's just about being convinced and having conviction and having people who believe in what you do, uh and also again, lights camera experiment. If it fails, it fails. But we want to tell it the way it was supposed to be told, and I think that that conviction is important, and that support is also equally important.
Yeah, I hope that this support and this sort of like thunderbolts of creativity manifest very, very often, Raghav, because as I said some time ago, I said I'm very excited to see what you're going to do next. And
Yes. Mhm.
yeah, is there a feature
I am excited about something. So there is this a show that I'm doing for TVF again. It is a science fiction show. It is something, yes, it is something completely different, and something that TVF hasn't dabbled in, or the Indian OTT space hasn't really done, or has tried but really hasn't hit that mark. So it's something new, extremely. crazy and cool, and it is being developed right now. And I want to tell everyone, but I'm holding myself back.
Tell me, okay? You tell me on Instagram.
Uh,
Tell me on WhatsApp. But I really can't wait. Honestly, as two people who just love the movies, we can talk, and both of us love to talk about the movies. But for right now, of course, I would say that this was such a delightful chat, and it answered a lot of questions that I had. So, personally, once again, thank you so much for giving us your time and for talking to me about the show. It means a lot to me. And I wish you luck with everything that you're doing in the future. I can't wait. This is like one of your biggest fans, right? So, really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me.